Welcome to another episode of the Boom Breakdown. I'm going to go over the fights in Oklahoma City tonight for the UFC. We'll start from the top down for the main event, Chiesa versus Lee. Lee's coming off some solid wins, and he's really impressive. He's one of those well-rounded athletes that can either submit you, knock you out. He could do it all, but, Chiesa's a really high-level ground guy. He tends to be a little slower on the feet, but he's a really tall, lengthy, lightweight, big guy. Both of these guys are pretty heavy for the weight class, well sized. Um, Lee is a little bit more active as of late. Chiesa's coming off an injury, so he's been out for quite a while now. So this is a comeback fight for him, and sometimes that could be a little bit difficult after some time off. But I think he's focused. He looks good during fight week, and this is going to be a close fight. But I could see Lee pulling it off. I don't really see him being able to submit Chiesa, but I see him being able to overwhelm him on the feet and come out with a TKO victory at some point, probably in the second round. I'm going to go with Lee by TKO. Next up, we got Tim Boetsch and Johnny Hendricks. The story for Hendricks, he's missed weight again for middleweight now. He missed weight at welterweight a few times, but now he's missed weight at middleweight, which is, pretty crazy, being that, it's 15 more pounds added on to what he used to fight at. But, yeah, Hendricks obviously always has the power in his left hand. Boetsch is a guy that's really tough in the clinch. He's a pretty big guy for the weight class. He's got some power too. Got some good throws, good takedowns, good finishing ability for Boetsch as well. Obviously, Hendricks has the advantage in the wrestling realm, being a really high caliber wrestler. I think Hendricks knows how to grind you out and get that takedown, get you back into the cage. Throw some inside dirty boxing, get the takedown, grind you out there, kind of overwhelm you, tire you out, hit you with some ground and pound. He's not really much of a submission guy, but Hendricks definitely has the better competition overall, I think, in the UFC so far. He's looking good at middleweight. He looks comfortable, but he's going to be undersized in this fight, that's for sure. And you just never know where a guy's head is at, with Hendricks, missing weight this time around at 185, and having a few tough losses at 170 before his last win at 185. But yeah, I think overall the experience for Hendricks will pay off in this fight. I think he'll be able to avoid some of Boesch's clinch power. I think he'll be able to take him down, grind him out, get some ground and pound. But I see this fight going to a decision. I'm gonna go with Johnny Hendricks in a decision. Next up, we got Felice Herrig and Kish. Don't know Kish's first name. But I don't really know much about Kish. I know Herrig's got a good stand-up, well-rounded fighter, good movement. She seems confident going into this fight. I don't really know much about her opponent, but I know she's a gritty, tough lady. Based off what I do know, I'm going to have to go with Herrig. I'll take a decision for Felice Herrig. I'm going to skip through these. Some of the fights, not too crazy about. But I like Tim Means a lot. He's fighting Garcia. Garcia is a smaller guy for the weight class. Height-wise, pretty stocky guy. But Tim Means, the Dirty Bird. Love watching this guy fight. He's got a lot of grit, a lot of solid clinch elbows, knees. He's a dirty fighter, not in a bad way, but just like dirty as in mean, like he just comes forward, tries to take your head off, tries to cut you up, create some blood. And Garcia is a guy with big power in his hands. He likes to come forward and stay in the pocket and throw some bombs. Tim Means doesn't shy away from that kind of fight either, but he's a little bit more calculated. He has the reach in this fight, and I can see Tim Means, avoiding that power shot and being able to overwhelm Garcia with some elbows, some knees, coming forward, pushing him back, keeping him on his back foot. I'm going to go with Tim Means by TKO in the second round. Next up, we got BJ Penn versus Dennis Seaver. BJ Penn, one of my all-time favorites. It's hard to see this guy still fighting. It's hard to stop fighting as a fighter. Even when your time is up, it's just you always believe in yourself. And I really want to see BJ Penn get a win here. Just kind of retire on a win on a good note. But you just never know, with him, which BJ we're gonna see. His last few fights, we really didn't see any ounce of the old BJ, which is not a good sign for this fight either. But we got Dennis Seaver, who's another older guy, a vet in the sport. But I think Dennis Seaver's a little bit sharper in his last performances than BJ. BJ's obviously went back to his old ways with the Marinovich brothers and working with different coaches that he used to work with in the past that brought him to pretty good success in the past. And sorry about no big deal. But he's you know he's coming into this fight with two really bad performances, and hopefully he's got a fire under him to, come back and make a statement here and do something good. Give us all a little bit more faith in what's left for BJ Penn, and I can never bet against him. I hope he could take this one, but. Don't bet on my prediction here, but I'm gonna hope for BJ Penn to get a finish in either the second or the third round by submission. That's probably his best bet to win this fight, is to put the pressure on Seaver, get him down, submit him, take his back, something like that. So we'll go with BJ Penn by submission. Down to the prelims, we got Guida versus Coke. Coke is a guy with Duke Rufus, solid kickboxing, southpaw stance, tall, big guy for the weight class. Guida, we all know he comes to grind, bring that fast pace, put the pressure on you, take you down, grind you out, ground and pound. This guy is constantly moving during the fight, but I got to go with Coke on the power here, striking wise, a little bit more crisp, accurate strikes. Guida tends to get hurt in a lot of his fights, and I don't think Coke is a guy that you could afford to get rocked with. I think he knows how to finish. He has good killer instinct. He comes forward. Once he has you hurt, he knows how to find you and put you away. Guida's a vet in the sport, and he's always an active fighter. Coke hasn't been very active as of late, but he had that stint at 145, which was seemed to be a tough cut for him. Now he's back at 155, and I think it's a better fit for him there. And I see Coke being able to catch Guida in the stand-up realm, maybe hurt him, maybe TKO him. So I'll go with the TKO for Coke in the second round. Next up, we'll go to Powell versus Horcher. Horcher is a guy that I came up watching in CFFC, some regional promotions like that. He's a guy that's a gritty fighter, southpaw stance. He's not afraid to exchange, get in the pocket, throw some heavy hands, heavy kicks. Don't know much about Powell, but we'll have to go with Horcher on this one. I think he's going to be able to come back. He has a crazy story. He was in that motorcycle accident, and shows what kind of heart he has to come back from that and be able to still fight. I heard a story about the doctors counting him out, not believing he would be able to come back and be able to do this again. So big ups to him. It's glad to see he's okay. He's back in the game. I'm going to go with Horcher by TKO within the 3 rounds. Moving down to the early prelims, we got Jared Gordon and Quinones, and this is a fight I'm watching closely. I know Jared Gordon, came up training with him back in the Team Bomb Squad days up in Ithaca, New York, and he was a guy that always stood out to me as far as like being a natural, just good at everything, well-rounded, surprised me with his skills. When I first trained with him, we would spar, train jiu-jitsu, and he always had a high-level game, well-rounded, good in all areas, and I think he's also a finisher. He knows how to finish fights, and so I'm going to have to go with Gordon within 3. I know he had a tough weight cut, but he's always got solid skills in the fight, so we'll go TKO for Gordon in within 2, I'll say. And that's it for this one. Kept it short and sweet, but we'll have plenty more boom breakdowns to come, so stay tuned. Boom.